Cause, a principle, aim, or movement that because of a deep commitment, one is prepared to defend or advocate. Karibu. Karibu is a Kiswahili word that means welcome. Welcome, you found yourself in a peaceful place, a place where you can grow and develop, and we hope grow and develop to your fullest potential. This is a podcast that we hope will expand your mind and raise your consciousness. Welcome to The Cause, conversations on music, history, and democracy. The Black arts movement is radically opposed to any concept of the artist that alienates them from their community. This movement is the aesthetic and spiritual sister of the Black Power concept. As such, it envisions an art that speaks directly to the needs and aspirations of Black America. In order to perform this task, the Black arts movement proposes a radical reordering of the Western cultural aesthetic. It proposes a separate symbolism, mythology, critique, and iconology. The Black arts and Black Power concepts both relate broadly to the African American's desire for self-determination and nationhood. Both concepts are nationalistic. One is concerned with the relationship between art and politics, the other with the art of politics. Larry Neal, The Black Arts Movement, 1968. Black is beautiful. Welcome to The Cause, conversations on music, history, and democracy. I'm your host, Dr. Reiland Rabaka. Black is beautiful is not a slogan alone, but a summons, a call to consciousness, a chorus of reclamation rising from a people long told to doubt their own reflection. To say Black is beautiful is to refuse the lie and rehearse the truth. It is to take the mirror out of the master's hand and hold it up to ourselves, steady, unflinching, luminous. Today's episode, where we take up another great cause, is titled Black is Beautiful, the Black Aesthetic and the Black Arts Movement, 1965 to 1975. This episode invites us into a decade where art was insurgent and imagination was organized, where poetry marched and music mobilized, where theater testified and painting proclaimed. It was a time when culture did not trail politics. Culture led politics, setting the terms, shaping the language, sounding the future. We begin with the question that is also a bridge. How does the mid-20th century Black arts movement stand as the artistic aftermath, the aesthetic aftermath and continuation of the Harlem Renaissance? How does the quote-unquote new Negro become the Black Power generation? How did the new Negro movement morph into the Black Power movement? How does the blues line bend into a bass line? How does a sermon become a cipher? How does a poem become a program? We answer by listening to voices that refused to whisper, to rhythms that refused to wait, to artists who knew that to name beauty is to make freedom. Black is beautiful indeed. We know another beauty. Beauty with blue notes. Beauty with burnt hands. Beauty with a mother's back bent over rent and still singing. Beauty in the barbershop argument. Beauty in the church fans' flutter. Beauty in the block party's bright grammar. Beauty in the girl who says her name like a verdict and a blessing. This is resistance, the art of resistance. The story of the Black Power movement and the Black arts movement and the Black aesthetic does not begin in 1965. It begins earlier in the Harlem Renaissance, where Black artists first insisted in modern America's hearing that Black life was worthy of its own forms, its own languages, its own light. The Harlem Renaissance was Afro-modernism in full bloom. Writers like Langston Hughes and Zora Neale Hurston, musicians like Bessie Smith, Louis Armstrong, and Duke Ellington, all announcing that Black culture was not derivative, but generative. But the promise of that era met the pressures of the Great Depression, war, and persistent racial violence. The Harlem Renaissance receded, but its residues remained, forms, frameworks, and a fierce insistence on self-definition. By the 1960s, the United States stood at another crossroads. The civil rights movement had shaken the legal architecture of segregation, but the everyday realities of inequality persisted. Into this breach stepped the Black Power movement, a call for self-determination, community control, and cultural pride. And alongside it, inseparable from it, rose the Black arts movement, the aesthetic arm of the Black Power movement. If the Harlem Renaissance asked, "Who are we in modern America?" the Black arts movement answered, "We are what we make, and we will make it black, bold, and beautiful." But the entire Black arts movement was shot through with this thing called the Black aesthetic. And so the question on the tip of every tongue right now should be, what then is the Black aesthetic? You see, the Black aesthetic was not a single doctrine. It was a constellation of commitments. It insisted that Black art must emerge from Black experience, speak to Black communities, and serve Black liberation. It rejected the demand to conform to Eurocentric standards of beauty, of art, of meaning. It refused art for art's sake neutrality and embraced art for the people's necessity, for the people's possibility, for the people's futurity. That's a nod to Afrofuturism. The Black aesthetic said, our rhythms are valid, our language is literature, our bodies are sites of knowledge, our communities are audiences and authors alike. Think of the Black aesthetic as the grammar of freedom, a way of shaping sound, image, and story so that they align in the lived realities and aspirations of Black people, in the lives and struggles of Black people. It is both critique and creation, this Black aesthetic. Critique of a world that devalues Black life, creation of forms that revalue it. So there's a dialectic here. In the larger society, there's devaluation of Black life. But in the world of the Black arts movement, and with this thing called the Black aesthetic, there is a revaluation of Black life. In fact, we can go back to the 19th century, to the 18th century, to African Americans' time in this country since 1619, when we experienced dehumanization, an attempt to dehumanize African Americans. And so it's important for us to understand, much like the Harlem Renaissance, the Black arts movement answers that dehumanization with rehumanization. It's here that aesthetics becomes ethics, form becomes function, beauty becomes a battleground and a balm, a healing for all that harm and hurt we make because the world keeps trying to unmake us. Because a child in the city needs a drumbeat more than a museum whisper. Because the wall has ears and the street has a mouth, and somebody must teach the silence how to testify. Art is not the pretty thing hung safely above the wound. Art is the wound, learning fire. Art is the hand that writes on the boarded window, we are still here, and here is not enough. Give me a poem with pavement and dirt in its knees, with gospel in its throat, with sirens circling its sleep, and a laugh sharp enough to cut the rope. Give me a song that does not beg to be invited into the big house, but builds a house from base, from breath, from everybody's last dollar folded into tomorrow. Between 1965 and 1975, the Black arts movement transformed neighborhoods into networks of creativity. Workshops, theaters, journals, and collectives emerged across cities: New York, Chicago, Detroit, Oakland, Los Angeles, Houston, Atlanta, each one a node in a national cultural uprising. At the center stood Reiland Rabaka, whose work helped catalyze a movement that was as organizational as it was artistic. Alongside him were voices like Sonia Sanchez, Nikki Giovanni, Haki Matabuti, and June Jordan, each shaping a literature that was urgent, accessible, and unapologetically Black. This was poetry that spoke in the cadence of the street and the sanctuary. This was theater that took the stage out of elite halls and placed it in community spaces. This was publishing that bypassed gatekeepers and built independent institutions. Parallelism became praxis. Write and organize, perform and protest, create and critique. The Black arts movement did not merely produce art. It produced infrastructure, spaces where Black creativity could thrive without apology. Black is beautiful, a phrase that moved from chant to credo, from poster to practice. It is difficult to overstate its power. Black is beautiful. Wow. In a society saturated with images that demeaned Blackness, this slogan in the 1960s and 1970s did not ask for approval. It asserted truth. It reclaimed skin, hair, style, soul, speech, reclaiming the body as a canvas of dignity. The Black aesthetic animated this slogan, giving it texture and theory. Beauty was no longer measured by whiteness. It was rooted in blackness itself, in hues, in histories, in humanity. To say black is beautiful was to re-script, re-narrate perception. It was to insist that the ordinary black face was extraordinary, that the everyday black life, the quotidian, was worthy of celebration. It was a declaration of love as resistance, of affirmation as action. Black is definitely beautiful. We do not make art to decorate the cage. We make art to remember the key, to name the lock, to study the guard, to teach the captive body its forgotten wings. And yes, we speak to our people, not because the world is small, but because love begins where the wound is known and felt. Not because we hate beauty, but because beauty has been stolen, painted pale, priced high, locked behind glass, and called universal. If the Harlem Renaissance had jazz, the Black Arts Movement had the avant-garde, free jazz that broke form to find freedom. Artists like John Coltrane stretched sound into spirit, turning improvisation into invocation. Ornette Coleman and Sun Ra pushed music beyond convention into cosmic terrains where blackness was boundless. Soul and funk carried the message to the masses. James Brown declared it plainly. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Turning a slogan into a groove into a movement. Music here is not background. It is backbone. It is where the black aesthetic becomes audible, where rhythm organizes feeling, where melody mobilizes meaning. In literature, language became weapon and witness. Short lines, sharp turns, spoken word cadences that refused elitism. In theater, playwrights staged the contradictions of black life with immediacy and intensity. In dance, bodies moved with ancestral memory and contemporary urgency. In visual art, colors and forms proclaimed black presence in public space. This was a total aesthetic, interdisciplinary, intergenerational, insurgent. It blurred boundaries between art forms, between artists and audience, between creation and critique. Art was not an escape from politics. It was a way into politics, an entry point, a meeting ground, a mirror. This is resistance, the art of resistance. Not only fist, but face. Not only march, but mural. Not only manifesto, but meal, shared after the meeting, when the old ones speak and the young ones listen, and the room becomes a country we have not yet been allowed to live in. We want symbols that know our names, myths with red clay feet, icons with tobacco breath, saints who survived landlords, prophets who played saxophone, tricksters who turned police reports into jokes too dangerous for the empire to understand. We want critique with teeth. We want rhythm with memory. We want politics that can dance without forgetting the dead. The artist is not above the people. The artist is among with ink under the fingernails, with hunger in the pocket, with history walking beside them like a serious drum. Make the poem useful, but not obedient. Make it beautiful, but not harmless. Make it sing, but let the song carry a stone. For every stolen language, we build a new tongue. For every burned archive, we become the witness. For every door shut, we become the thunder on the other side. Brother, sister, beloved stranger, do not ask whether art can save us. Ask what kind of people we become when we refuse to create. Ask what happens to the soul when it is ordered to survive without sound. So we make in alleys, in basements, in classrooms, in prisons, in kitchens bright with grief and grease. We make with broken microphones and borrowed light. We make because the ancestors left us more than sorrow. They left us tempo. You know, we started this episode talking about the Black arts movement as a kind of artistic aftermath of the Harlem Renaissance. And something similar could be conjectured, could be said about the hip hop movement as the artistic aftermath of the Black arts movement. And so there's this beautiful kind of cyclical thing that went on throughout the 20th century and is now extending into the 21st century where, let's say in the 1920s and 1930s, you have the Harlem Renaissance. In the 1960s and the 1970s, you have the Black arts movement. Whew. And then in the 1980s, 1990s, up to the present moment, you have the hip hop movement. So there is another turn, an aesthetic turn, a Black aesthetic turn that seems to keep turning throughout the 20th century. And each turn represents another kind of transformation. The Black arts movement laid crucial groundwork for what would become rap music and hip hop culture. Rap music and the hip hop movement. The emphasis on spoken word, rhythmic language, community-based performance, and independent production anticipated elements of rap. The MC's voice, the DJ's loop, the break dancer's body, the graffiti writer's mark, their aerosol art. When hip-hop emerged in the Bronx in the 1970s, it inherited not only the sonic innovations of funk and soul music, but the cultural ethos of the Black arts movement. To speak truth, to speak loud, to speak for the people. Rap, in this sense, is a descendant of Black arts movement poetry. Rap carries forward the insistence that art must engage reality and that rhythm can reveal injustice, that voice can build community. I want you to think seriously about some of the most iconic political rappers, whether we turn to Public Enemy or KRS-One or Tupac Shakur, Ice Cube, Dead Prez, certainly coming on into the 21st century, somebody like Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, Killer Mike, Run the Jewels, Immortal Technique. And then, of course, it's really important, we can't forget about the iconic women like Queen Latifah, Lauryn Hill, Rhapsody. Come on now. Would we have them today if we did not have the poetry of Emiri Baraka, of Sonia Sanchez, of Nikki Giovanni, of Maya Angelou, if we didn't have the incomparable work of Gil Scott-Heron? the last poets, the Watts prophets, even Millie Jackson, she was rapping. Come on now. Wow. We're talking about the roots of rap music and how they are located in the Black arts movement, the poetry of the Black arts movement, and then going all the way back to the poetry of the Harlem Renaissance. All of this leads us to the question, what does Black is beautiful mean now? What does the Black aesthetic mean now? And what does the Black arts movement mean now? It means resisting new forms of old erasures. It means challenging media landscapes that still distort and diminish. It means affirming Black life in an age of visibility without equality. It means recognizing that aesthetics still matter. How we see, how we hear, how we imagine. It means understanding that democracy is not only about laws and policies, it's also about culture, about who is seen as human, who is heard as worthy. The Black aesthetic remains a living principle and a living practice, visible in contemporary art, audible in modern music, palpable in movements that link identity to justice.
Are you ready to dive deep into the rich histories, cultures, and arts of Africa and the African diaspora? At the Center for African and African American Studies, affectionately known as The Cause, we're leading the way in research, arts, and student engagement at the University of Colorado, Boulder. The Cause is more than just a research center. It's a space where students, faculty, artists, allies, and activists come together to explore African and African American experiences, from historical legacies to modern cultural expressions. And at the heart of it all, our students, playing a central role in everything we do. They're the future of this important cultural legacy, working side by side with faculty on groundbreaking projects and events that impact not just the campus, but the community and wider world. Research projects and events that impact not just our beloved CU campus, but the community and world at large.
Our mission? To foster academic excellence, social responsibility, and artistic expression, with programs that inspire leadership and advocacy for social justice. Whether you're interested in visual arts, music, or deepening your understanding of African American culture, The Cause is the place for you.
But we can't do it alone. The Cause relies on the generous support of our community to continue making a difference. By giving to the Center for African and African American Studies, you help us expand research, create opportunities for artists, support our students, and drive meaningful social change. And right now, your gift will go even further. All donations will be matched by CU Boulder Chancellor Justin Swartz for up to $1 million or until May 30th, 2026. To make your impact today, visit colorado.edu/center/cause and click on Support the Cause. Every contribution, large or small, brings us closer to a future of unity, knowledge, and transformation.
So, if you're looking for a community where history, culture, and creativity converge, visit the Center for African and African American Studies at CU Boulder. Come join The Cause and be a part of a movement for unity, knowledge, and social change.
Learn more and give today at colorado.edu/center/cause. We can't wait to welcome you to The Cause.
All throughout this episode, I have been hitting you with excerpts of my brand new a Black aesthetic, Black arts movement inspired poem called We Know Another Beauty. And this poem, I feel like, is a culmination of years of reading Harlem Renaissance poetry, but certainly Black arts movement poetry. If you will allow it, this poem, some of the major influences on this particular piece would be obviously Reiland Rabaka and Sonia Sanchez, Nikki Giovanni, Haki Matabuti, Gil Scott-Heron, Larry Neal, Askia Torre, Jane Cortez, June Jordan, Audre Lorde, Lucille Clifton, Sterling Plump, Mari Evans, Henry Dumas, Etheridge Knight, Gwendolyn Brooks, Carolyn M. Rogers, Ishmael Reed, so many. Dudley Randall, I could go on and on and on. Eugene B. Redmond, Bob Kaufman, David Henderson, the Last Poets, the Watts Prophets, Marvin X. I could just do this all day long, but you came here. We've reached this point, and now it's time for our poetic pause. This is our Black Arts Movement inspired poetic pause, and the poem today on the cause is called We Know Another Beauty. We know another beauty, beauty with blue notes, beauty with burnt hands, beauty with a mother's back bent over rent and still singing, beauty in the barbershop argument, beauty in the Black church fans' flutter, beauty in the block party's bright grammar, beauty in the girl who says her name like verdict and a blessing. This is resistance, the art of resistance. We make because the world keeps trying to unmake us, because a child in the city needs a drumbeat more than a museum whisper, because the wall has ears and the street has a mouth, and somebody must teach the silence how to testify. Art is not the pretty thing hung safely above the wound. Art is the wound, learning fire. Art is the hand that writes on the boarded window. We are still here, and here is not enough. Give me a poem with dirt on its knees, with gospel in its throat, with sirens circling its sleep, and a laugh sharp enough to cut the rope. Give me a song that does not beg to be invited into the big house, but builds a house from base, from breath, from everybody's last dollar, folded into tomorrow. We do not make art to decorate the cage. We make art to remember the key, to name the lock, to study the guard, to teach the captive body its forgotten wings. And yes, we speak to our people. Not because the world is small, but because love begins where the wound is known and felt. Not because we hate beauty, but because beauty has been stolen, painted pale, priced high, locked behind glass, and called universal. Ooh, we know another beauty. Beauty with blue notes. Beauty with burnt hands. Beauty with a mother's back bent over rent and still singing. Beauty in the barbershop argument. Beauty in the church fans' flutter. Beauty in the block party's bright grammar. Beauty in the girl who says her name like a verdict and a blessing. This is resistance, the art of resistance. Not only fist, but face. Not only march, but mural. Not only manifesto, but meal. Shared after the meeting, when the old ones speak and the young ones listen, and the room becomes a country we have not yet been allowed to live in. We want symbols that know our names, myths with red clay feet, icons with tobacco breath, saints who survived landlords, prophets who played saxophone, tricksters who turned police reports into jokes too dangerous for the empire to understand. Ooh, we want critique with teeth. We want rhythm with memory. We want a politics that can dance without forgetting the dead. Ooh, the artist is not above the people. The artist is among, with ink under the fingernails, with hunger in the pocket, with history walking beside them like a serious drum. Make the poem useful, but not obedient. Make it beautiful, but not harmless. Make it sing. But let the song carry a stone. For every stolen language, we build a new tongue. For every burned archive, we become the witness. For every door shut, we become the thunder on the other side. Brother, sister, beloved stranger, do not ask whether art can save us. Ask what kind of people we become when we refuse to create. Ask what happens to the soul when it is ordered to survive without sound. So we make in alleys, in basements, in classrooms, in prisons, in kitchens bright with grease and grief. We make with broken microphones and borrowed light. We make because the ancestors left us more than sorrow. They left us tempo. They left us ash and said, learn fire. They left us breath and said, be horn. They left us struggle and said, turn it into a people. This is the art of resistance, to gather the scattered, to sharpen the singing, to make from the ruins a black world wide enough for freedom to enter and stay. We know another beauty. Beauty with blue notes, beauty with burnt hands, beauty with a mother's back bent over rent, still singing. Beauty in the barbershop argument, beauty in the church fans flutter, beauty in the block parties, bright grammar, beauty in the girl who says her name like a verdict and a blessing. This is resistance, the art of resistance. It's hot up in here. That's fire. We got that fire, that spark, that je ne sais quoi, that special something, that special spark. That soul, that's what they called it. The black aesthetic, in the music world, they call it the soul aesthetic. That's where you get Aretha Franklin and Sam Cooke and Ray Charles and James Brown and Otis Redding and Al Green and Gladys Knight and the Pips. Can y'all hear me? Carla Thomas and Irma Thomas and, oh, wow, Millie Jackson, y'all. I'm saying Millie Jackson. Did I say Aretha Franklin? Did I say Roberta Flack? Did I say Etta James and Tina Turner? And what about Nina Simone? Whoo! Oh, can't nobody moan like Nina Simone. We know another beauty. Wow. I put a little bit of my heart and my soul in that one. I hope you can feel me. Like James Brown said back in the 1960s, if you don't feel that, you dead. He said, you don't have to go to the hospital. They need to just go ahead and take you to the cemetery. Don't call an ambulance, call a hearse. Call a hearse if you didn't feel that one. Wow. So where do we go from here? This is the call to action. Call to action, making beauty making freedom. So where do we go from here? We return to the mirror, but we do not return the same. We see more clearly now that beauty is not a luxury. It is a language. It tells us who we are, who we have been, and who we might yet become. We are called to create spaces, create stories, create sounds that affirm life against the grain of ugliness and injustice. Create beauty. We are called to listen. Listen to the past. Listen to each other. Listen to the rhythms of possibility, the polyrhythms of possibility. We are called to act. Act with imagination. Act with integrity. Act with the understanding that culture shapes consciousness and consciousness shapes change. Let us build where others have broken. Let us sing where others have been silenced. Let us see where others have refused. Let us make beauty so that freedom can be felt. And so we conclude, because we have to. But this is not the end. This is only the beginning. I hope that this episode inspires you to go out and to study the Black Arts Movement and to use it like I do as a model. The Black Arts Movement was not an echo. It was an evolution. It carried the Harlem Renaissance forward and pushed beyond it, insisting that art must not only reflect life, but it must alter life. It must change life. It must transform life. Really great art changes your life, transforms your life, takes this ugly world and beautifies it. And so we end where we began, with a phrase that is also a promise, a chant that is also a charge. Black is beautiful. This is The Cause Podcast. I'm your host, Professor Reiland Rabaka, and it has been so powerful and so beautiful to share the Black Arts Movement with you. If you have felt any of this, please check out the special Black is Beautiful, Black Aesthetic, and Black Arts Movement playlist I have specifically curated just for you. Special curation. We talking about is some funky sounds going down on that playlist. You got to peep the playlist. Y'all take care of yourself. This is The Cause Podcast. I am Reiland Rabaka, and I love the Black Arts Movement. Until next time, remember, Black is beautiful.
Thank you for joining us for The Cause Podcast with Dr. Reiland Rabaka. For your letters, questions, and suggestions regarding the podcast, email us, thecause@gmail.com. CAAAS. The Cause Podcast with Dr. Reiland Rabaka is produced and edited by John Arnold and is a production of the Center for African and African American Studies, The Cause, at the University of Colorado Boulder. For more information, visit us online at colorado.edu/center/cause. CAAAS.
Class is in session, so come and get your lesson. Ooh, the Cause podcast. I love that. Do you love that?